everybody and welcome to this video, which as you can see today is going to be a horror Blu Ray update. Can't remember the number because I haven't looked. Starting off well. And it's going to be the first of a few. I think I've got 2 or 3 of these videos in the pipeline that are going to be released in quick succession. Because however long it's been since the last one, I've amassed quite a collection of Blu Rays. And obviously 2 or 3 videos worth, but haven't had the chance to make any videos because my mum was actually taken into hospital a few weeks ago and I've kind of been, you know, busy with other things. But now all is back to normal, all is well, mum is fine, and yeah, I've got a few big stacks of Blu-rays waiting to be shown off, and today is a particularly special one. It is a giallo special. Play the music. Bastard! The other music. Yes, it was my birthday in May, which kind of shows how long ago it's been since I've made one of these videos. And Dad's usual thing is to get me horror soundtracks and horror films on Blu-ray. And he did that, and it was my 21st, so he did something quite special. He's got me here a stack of 10. He must have known I was making a video. Yeah, 10 giallo movies, those highly stylized, very sexual Italian murder mystery films. And it's a hell of a stack. There's a lot of variety in here, a few I hadn't heard of. But the good thing is, since having, you know, been bought these, I have had a chance to watch all but one of them. So I can talk a little bit about them. I'll try not to spoil anything if you haven't seen these, because I know they're quite plot heavy. So yeah, I'll try my best not to say anything too much. And we're going to start with the Shameless Entertainment Blu-rays. I didn't actually own any Shameless before this batch was bought for me. I've got 3 of them here and the rest of them are all Arrow. So yeah, massive shout out and thank you to my dad for making this video possible and for buying me this stack of fantastic movies, which is going to start with Dario Argento's lost masterpiece, 4 Flies on Grey Velvet. Yeah, kind of a mysterious little movie this, because it came, if I am remembering rightly, it's his 3rd movie, his 3rd directorial movie anyway. Bird with the Crystal Plumage was first, Cat o' Nine Tails was second, 4 Flies on Grey Velvet was third. It's his animal trilogy, it's the last in his animal trilogy. And it's not one you hear talked about as much as Bird with the Crystal Plumage and even Cat o' Nine Tails, which, you know, even though it's not widely known, it is kind of more well known than this one, I would say. And the title always intrigued me, because they seem to incorporate a lot of animals and weirdly kind of mysterious words and phrases into their titles, and 4 Flies on Grey Velvet is pretty weird. What did I think of this film, without spoiling it? It was strange. It was weirdly bloodless compared to what I was expecting with Argento. When you think of things like Deep Red and Suspiria and Demons and things like that, you kind of associate him with a lot of violence, but as far as I can remember, it's been a few weeks since I've watched it. It was fairly tame on the violence front. I mean, there was death, obviously, but it was all, you know, blood-free, gore-free, maybe with the exception of 1 or 2, which, you know, is fine. It just kind of took me by surprise. It's a weird one. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't put it above the other 2 in his animal trilogy. I wouldn't say it's better than Cat o' Nine Tails or Bird with the Crystal Plumage. It's probably my least favourite of the 3. It just kind of felt a bit disjointed, and I know a lot of these giallos often are kind of a bit tenuous and strange. But yeah, especially towards the end, it kind of felt like his heart wasn't in this one as much. That might be total rubbish, but yeah, I just get the feeling it doesn't feel like an Argento film. But that's not to say it's bad by any means. I've seen much, much, much worse than this. So yeah, we get lovely, these are really thin, these ones there. 4 Flies on Grey Velvet. It is number 3 in the Shameless Entertainment collection. We open it up, pretty basic package with these ones. You just get the disc there. And a quote from Luigi Cozzi, who says, "Dario intended this film to be seen in complete darkness." Which it wasn't. I watched it in broad daylight, so maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much. And if we flip around, the alternative artwork is there. And I kind of prefer that artwork to the one I've got, but I like the English title. Call me uncultured, but even if the Italian artwork is better, I tend to have the English one on show. It's kind of, you know, down the spine, so I know which movie I'm looking at, because I'm not Italian, despite my appetite for pizza and my sex appeal. But yeah, so that is 4 Flies on Grey Velvet, which is a really welcome addition to my collection, because it's, as I said, not a very well talked about movie. And if you haven't seen it, I'd definitely give it a go, it's interesting. And next up is another Shameless Entertainment release. This one comes from Sergio Martino, who directed, I think, 5 giallos in his time, starring the wonderful Susie Kendall. This one is Torso, also known as Carnal Violence. And this is a film that I knew about long before I'd seen it. Because I had, or in fact still have, a book of horror film posters and you know, just fun stuff about horror films. And that, I think it was that poster was in there, and it always just sounded kind of gritty and grindhousey. You know, it's enter, if you dare, the bizarre world of the psychosexual mind, and it, you know, it felt kind of gritty even looking at it. You've got a hacksaw on the front, which isn't, you know, it's not a stylish murder weapon. It's not an easy murder weapon. It's not the kind of thing you'd usually see in a giallo. It's usually all, you know, slick razor blades and things like that. But no, we've got a hacksaw on the front. The title Torso implies quite a lot of nastiness. And yeah, if there's one thing I can say about this one is that it does deliver on the gore front, unlike Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Yeah, interesting movie. I enjoyed this a lot. It's a movie that my dad saw before I did, and he, without saying anything, spoiled quite a tense moment for me by telling me something that happened. I'm not going to say what that is. I haven't seen all of Sergio Martino's giallos, but of them I'd say this is probably my favourite thus far. I think I've got 1 or 2 left to watch. But I do like Susie Kendall, so maybe that's just kind of, you know, a reason I do like this movie. Yeah, it's got a good plot. It's not too convoluted. Like I say, it delivers on the gore. It's got some tense moments, some, you know, moments that are definitely fitting of a horror film. Special effects aren't all that fantastic, and there are a few tenuous links and silly bits in it, but if you're watching a giallo, that's kind of just what you expect. On the back there, you've got all the special features and things, not too many on the Shameless ones. And again, quite a basic package there with the alternative artwork, which I'll show you. And I think that's shit, frankly, compared to the... I think that's the original poster, so I'm going to keep that on there. And it's not going to go in. One thing I do quite like about these Shameless releases is that although they're thin, they really do stand out on your shelf because they're bright yellow. So yeah, if you're ever looking for Torso, you're never going to miss it on the shelf. So that is Torso there from Shameless Entertainment. As is the third and final movie from them. Again, Sergio Martino, and this is the one of the bunch I haven't yet seen, so I can't really talk about this one. But I've heard good things, so yeah. The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. A lot of people have said that this is his best one, from what I've heard. That might be total rubbish. I don't know, I haven't seen it. It looks kind of kinky. I mean, you've got exposed tits on the cover, which is always a good sign. It mentions S&M on the back, so, you know, that's always going to be fun. All the Colours of the Dark, actually, I've just read it. That's the other Sergio Martino movie I haven't seen. Or Sergio Martino giallo I haven't seen. So I couldn't comment on that one either. But yes, again, not much to say about this one because I haven't seen it, but you've got the same package there. Interesting artwork, to say the least. It did actually come with a little sticker over her nipple there, which is nice to see. You've got the disc there with the same artwork on, and then I think it was also called Next or something. Yeah, that's the other artwork there, which it's a cool title, but it's not The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward cool, so I'm going to stick with that one. And that brings an end to the Shameless Entertainment ones that my dad got me. So yeah, cool little bunch there, and now we're going to move on to the Arrow stuff. So that is Torso, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, and Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Then we've got 7 Arrow ones to get through, and I've been waffling on for quite a long time. The next 2, I believe, were released in a set together. That could be rubbish, they might have just been released at the same time. But we're going to go into The Red Queen Kills 7 Times. Directed by Emilio P. Miraglia, I don't know how to say that name. Yeah, not a name you hear a lot with giallos, but he did this one and the next one, which I'm going to show off. And this I watched yesterday, so this one's fairly fresh in my mind. And it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect with a giallo, quite a complex story. It's kind of more horror focused as well, this one. You've got obviously this figure in the red cape who's hovering about quite a lot, which does add kind of an element of supernatural horror to it. It's kind of bloody. It's not gory as such. There is a lot of blood though, especially one death stands out to me as being pretty grim. With it being an Arrow release, obviously you've got all the special features on the back there. Haven't watched any of these yet because I don't like to watch the special features before I've seen the film. and like I say, I only watched it yesterday. Open it up quickly. We've got the film card in here, which is on this occasion Ronin with Robert De Niro. You've got the disc in there, obviously, and the alternative artwork, which I do like, but not as much as the new one there. The Red Queen kills 7 times. So, it's an interesting one. It feels like the guy who directed this didn't kind of do giallos as you normally expect them to be. They're not necessarily black gloves and razor blades and things, even though she is holding a knife there with a black glove. Yeah, because this one's kind of more supernatural than a lot of them I've seen. As is this other film that he directed, The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, which is a fantastic title. And yeah, that's a great cover as well. So, yeah, this one, again, it's not like a murder mystery as such. There's kind of more supernatural stuff going on in here, which does give it a kind of different vibe, and they do stand out. But yeah, still a good film. I'd still class it as a giallo since, I mean, you've got, again, the black glove holding the knife there. And again, bit of kinkiness in this one, bit of sexuality. But it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. It's hard to describe it without explaining the plot. But yeah, there's Evelyn, who's in a grave, and then isn't in a grave anymore, and murders are happening. And we think it might be Evelyn, or is it? So yeah, weird plot on this one and the last one. It's, you know, interesting to see them standing out. Got all your bonus features and things on the back there, and I'll open it up. And this again, I was really tempted by this artwork because the original is great. I just really like the new one. The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. I like that font as well. It looks kind of cool down the spine with the purple there and the skull. But if they came together, I think they were released together, the Red Queen and this one. So I'm going to keep the art styles consistent with those. And if you're in the mood for like a giallo that isn't a Dario Argento deep red, you know, catchy music, slashy, this one and the Red Queen I would definitely recommend, because like I say, they have got a bit more to them. They're a bit more kind of gothic, a bit more horror focused than a lot of the giallos I've seen are. Lean more towards horror than thriller, which is interesting to see. And again, I think the following two were also released together, not necessarily in a package, but they were directed by the same guy. They were released in, I think it was either the same year or like, you know, 71 and 72. And it is, the first one, Death Walks on High Heels, which I hadn't heard of before. I'd heard of the next one, I hadn't heard of this one though. And it's kind of a semi-prequel to the following one. There's a couple of the same actors in it, not the same characters, but the same actors. And of the bunch of these that Dad's bought me, the few you're about to see as well, this is probably the one that has pleasantly surprised me the most. I kind of went into this not necessarily not expecting much, but, you know, just not knowing what to expect. I didn't really know any of the actors, any of the directors or anything. So it kind of came out of the blue. And I think it's really, really, really well done. It's convoluted, it's complex, it takes a couple of views to kind of get your head round, but once you kind of know what's happening, it's a perfectly complicated and brutal little story that's told really well. And yeah, Death does indeed walk in high heels on this. Nice arrow release there, again, an absolute boatload of features. Open it up and I forgot how good the other artwork is. Take the disc out there and you can see the new artwork, which I might have to change it back to. Or do I? I like that. Yeah, I'm going to change it back actually when this video is finished. Yeah, this is the one that's kind of stood out to me the most. It really, really surprised me. So it's not one to watch if you're kind of wanting to passively just have something on in the background. It is one that requires a lot of focus and attention to follow properly. But if you're in the mood for a proper layered, twisty little story with deaths that come out of nowhere, characters that you wouldn't expect, then yeah, I would really, really suggest this. It's a fabulous little movie. And then it's semi-sequel, like I say, starring a couple of the same people, directed by the same guy, is Death Walks at Midnight, which features a pointy glove. Who's the actress in this? It's Susan Scott. Neves Navarro, she's called, but her AKA is Susan Scott. Plays possibly my favourite giallo character of all time in this film, because she is like the most badass, argumentative, fiery character. I was going to say woman, but just character in general that I think I've ever seen in one of these. She's so fun to watch. She kind of shows everybody up because she's the one who's pushing to get the things solved, and she's the one chasing the killer, dragging everyone round after her. And yeah, she's just an absolute pleasure to watch in this. She kind of carries it a little bit. The story, I don't think, is quite as strong as High Heels, although it is still a really solid story. Solid characters, good twists, good deaths, and things like that. The killer, well, I say killer, the one of the characters, I nearly let something slip then, has a very, very camp run. I do remember that. And yeah, again, a really solid little movie. I believe, what's the guy called? Luciano Ercoli. I believe he was married to Susan Scott, but he has he done any more? I've got a feeling he did one or two more giallos that I haven't seen yet, but yeah, if it's anything to go by, this one and the previous are absolutely great. Open it up, and again, kind of similar art style to the last one, which leads me to believe they were released together. Death Walks at Midnight. And yeah, that glove is kind of brutal. So yeah, highly recommended from me. Death Walks at Midnight and Death Walks on High Heels. 3 left and my throat's drying up. Next up is a film with a really, really crap cover. Yeah, Dad bought this one for me, and even he admitted, like, I don't really know why. Like, I don't know what drew me to this. I don't know if it was just curiosity, but this is Franco Nero's The Fifth Chord. And this is a confusing movie. I watched this 2 days ago, and I couldn't even begin to explain the plot. I really do need to watch this again. But yeah, it's beautifully shot, actually. I do remember that. The music's great, and it's beautifully shot. A lot of strange locations, all photographed very, very well. Kind of twisted little story. It's one of those that's a little bit too complicated to follow on the first viewing, so you need to go into this again, as I will. And yeah, like I said, that cover is just crap, isn't it? It doesn't show off anything about the movie. It doesn't show off how stylish it is, how brutal it is. It's just kind of blue stripes. So yeah, not a fan of that. Lots and lots of bonus features and everything on the back, as you can see. And with this one, we do actually get, well, we get the usual film card, which is, I can't even read that. It's that movie there. I'll pop that back in, and yeah, we do get a nice booklet with this one, which has lots of information and pictures and things. Try and find a good picture to show off what this film's about. There we go, there's a dead woman on a bed there. So yeah, that's the kind of thing you should expect from this movie. And if I quickly take the disc out, you'll realise how much better the old artwork is. That's great. The only problem is, like I say, it's Italian, and if that's on the shelf, I wouldn't know what film I'm picking out. My dad said I'm being stupid for that, because the other cover is much better, but it's just kind of, I don't know, I like the English title. So yeah, that's The Fifth Chord. Very confusing, but still recommended. I did still enjoy it. Similar thing with this next one as well. Again, back to Sergio Martino with this one, and very well respected, this one. I watched a couple of the bonus features, and many people consider this to be maybe his best. It's definitely a complex one. This one is Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key, which is a fantastic title. And also comes from a scene in The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, I believe. She receives a note, and that's what it says on it. So yeah, interesting title, interesting movie. If I remember rightly, it has been a while since I watched this. Is it an artist or an author and his wife are living at some kind of extravagant mansion up in the hills, and they have these sexual parties that go on, and people start getting killed, and there's a cat in it, if I remember rightly. Yeah, interesting movie. It's one of those where I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if I was more in the mood for it. I do feel like it was kind of ruined by my mood. I was wanting something simple, but I was too curious about this title, so I put it on. And yeah, it was more complicated than I was ready for, but still, I did enjoy it. You know, I haven't got anything bad to say about it. I thought it was a good little movie. Arrow, again, I need to stop saying this. Lots of lovely features there. Film card on this one is The Slayer. And we can see the other artwork isn't anywhere near as good. It's just someone stood at the top of some stairs. So yeah, the old artwork wins on that front. And that is the penultimate movie in this video. Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. And the final one to show off in this giallo special, play the music. Basta! Other music. is a film that I knew about long before I'd seen it, through my friend James Lobban, because he enjoys collecting the soundtracks of Ennio Morricone, who scored quite a lot of these murder mystery giallos in his time. And this is a title I remember him mentioning, kind of as I was getting into this genre. And this is What Have You Done to Solange, which Ennio Morricone scored, and it is a really, really good one. So yeah, if it's out on vinyl, I would suggest picking it up. I definitely will be. So, what do I think of this movie? I think this movie has a really strange atmosphere about it, because it's not... Similar to Death Walks on High Heels, it's not set in Italy. This one's set in the UK. It features Christine Galbo, who was in The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, and she is, I think, only 22 in this, so it's a really early role for her. And it also has, I'm sure, someone else. Camille Keaton from I Spit on Your Grave. This was her first movie. Yeah, this is a really, really strong film. Out of the bunch that my dad got me, this was the one I was most looking forward to seeing. Because I kind of looked them up on IMDb, saw that this one was getting really, really good reviews. And having watched it, I can understand. It kind of has everything you want in a giallo. It has, you know, the sex, obviously. It has the graphic murders. It has a list of characters. It has a lot of red herrings. And most importantly, it has a really satisfying ending. Because a lot of these you tend to find, you know, you get to the end thinking the killer's one person, and then it's suddenly, you know, oh, it's the girl's mother's brother's sister's dog's cat's mother's sister's brother's parrot. So... yeah, but this one, the killer does have a genuine reason to do what they are doing. And it's nasty as fuck. One scene in this, I remember, because I was watching it with my dad, and we just kind of looked at each other and went, oh, not nice. Yeah, the motive behind this killing is really quite grisly and strong and unpleasant, especially for 1972, when I think this came out. But yeah, you know, if you're going to watch these films, there is violence in them, so you just got to kind of get used to that. And again, comes with a nice book with the alternative artwork on there. Good, not quite as good as the old one, I don't think. See if I can try and find a nice picture to show off the movie. There's Christine Galbo, looking young. I think she plays an 18-year-old student in this. Let's see if I can find something interesting to show you. No, I can't. There aren't many pictures in that. But yeah, cool little booklet full of information. And the alternative artwork, as you can see there, not quite as good as the old one, I don't think. That one's a bit more creepy. So, I had a fucking great 21st birthday. Yeah, thank you very much to my dad for this enormous stack of movies. All really fun stuff. It's exactly the kind of stuff me and dad like. And they all come highly recommended, to be honest, because even if they are very complicated and hard to follow, they're still really entertaining movies. Particularly, like I say, the ones that I did follow properly. What Have You Done to Solange? Death Walks on High Heels, Torso. They're probably the three out of this bunch that I would recommend the most. Fantastic movies there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you've seen any of these movies and what you think. Try and keep it spoiler-free, because I wouldn't want to go into a giallo knowing the ending, because that kind of spoils everything. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very shortly with another 2 videos, because there's more Blu-rays sat over there waiting to be shown off. Bye for now.